Good morning and welcome to ACC's historic first Zoom meeting. Not something our founding parents would have ever, in their wildest dreams, expected or even anticipated. But here we are. My name is Cindy Petersheim, and I have the blessing of serving as moderator for ACC, and it is good to see you. A little bit of Zoom etiquette before we get started. Please remember to mute your microphone unless you are speaking or are in the breakout session groups. Also, a reminder that the delegate documents are on our assembly webpage. So in addition to the worship music that welcomed you this morning, I'd like to center our thoughts on the spring lead article of the ACC Currents that you should have received this past Thursday. As editor, Brooke Musselman chose this article by Jeremy Miller, realizing its timeliness and relevance. It is titled Us and Them. Jeremy is at Rosedale, and this article was used by permission. And he articulates that the attitudes that we have been through the last season of the pandemic have been heightened in our society and church. And that is the issue of them and us. Jeremy goes on to say that we need to become people of peace, which as a historic church, we may think we have a corner on, but he's challenging us right now to not look at how we've been peaceful, but to become a people of peace. He'd like us to reevaluate that. I would call his words a vaccine for division in the church, but he calls it as a way that we can become a people of peace. And he gives three examples, three scriptures that help us do that. First of all, he says, get close. And he uses 2 Thessalonians 3:7-9 to remind us of that. Spend time with persons who have attributes we want. And he uses that Thessalonians passage to remind us of that. Secondly, he encourages us to recapture grace. Romans 3:10-12 and James 4-6. And he states, part of the struggle in so many of us is that we've forgotten the extravagant grace of God's work on us, and that we need, in becoming persons of peace, to be more aware of God's grace in us. And lastly, he says, stop and lean in. He uses Proverbs 18:2. People of peace genuinely ask to seek understanding from those they disagree. They lean in and they begin to ask questions. Learning to get close, remembering God's grace for you, and becoming patient with your opponent takes time and patience. But Christ's church needs us to be more careful, more thoughtful, and he uses the word, and less angry. A few slight turns of the dial in that direction could make a significant difference in our churches and our world. I encourage you, as you look over the currents this week and as you send it out to your congregation, to ask yourself and to ask those that you are relating to how we can become more persons of peace. For me, I want to know it as a vaccine. Just closing our thoughts on that this morning, I'd like to lead us in a prayer from the resource Voices Together, of which you heard earlier the singing come from. number 953, and I ask you to join me in a prayerful attitude. God of life, we thank you that our work as well as our worship, we gather in your presence. Come among us and guide us as we meet together. In our uncertainties, give us direction. In our differences, give us understanding. In our reporting, give us honesty. In our planning, give us boldness. In our deciding, give us graciousness. Let us never forget that we are your people, called to proclaim the reign of God, committed to follow Christ in life, united as one body in the Spirit. Amen. Well, for most of us, this is a first. And Brooke is at Command Central, making sure that everything goes well. And we have, I think, a very exciting hour and a half planned, and then a little break, and then very much excited about what's going to happen from 11 to 12. So I hope you can join us for the whole session. We're going to move now into the Nichols for Neighbors opportunity that we have. And we have Bruce Campbell-Jantz going to do a video for us that tells us about our opportunity for Nichols for Neighbors. So Bruce, it's all yours.
Thank you, Cindy, and good morning, sisters and brothers. My name is Bruce Campbell-Jantz. As Cindy said, I am chair of the missions committee for the conference, and I'm a member at East Chestnut Street Mennonite Church in Lancaster City. Oh, I hear the video audio coming in. Okay, so just a quick introduction to Nichols for Neighbors. I think many of you will be familiar with it. It is an annual project in the conference where congregations are encouraged to collect coins in Sunday school classes, Bible studies, or services. And it's primarily as a way to encourage giving among our children. And essentially you have between now, the spring assembly, and the annual assembly in the fall on October 23rd to collect coins. So there's more information on the ACC website. Feel free to look there. But now is your time over the next 6 months to collect coins for the Nichols for Neighbors program. And just a few words about the recipient of those funds this year in 2021. That will be the New York Mennonite Immigration Program. NYMIP is over 20 years old and has grown out of the work of the New York City Council of Mennonite Churches, of which there are some ACC congregations as well. They're calling the project that they presented, the proposal, the Family Services Project. And the funds will be used to expand assistance for immigrant families within the New York City Family Shelters system, with free legal assessments, referrals, and service needs assessments for children and families. And finally, you will be meeting and hearing more about NYMIP later in this assembly, as they are welcomed as a new conference-related ministry. And so I think this is one of the ways for us to become people of peace, is to support our sisters and brothers on their migration journeys. And we can do that effectively in New York City through the New York Mennonite Immigration Program. So with those words, Brooke will show a short video. And thank you again for your involvement in Nichols for Neighbors.
Hi, my name is Angie Batiste. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Honduras. I came here 4 years ago to meet with my mom. She immigrated here when I was 4 years old. So I basically grew up with my grandmother. And I came with my 1 year old daughter. Then now she's 5 years old. Her name is Angelique. I can say 5 or 6 years ago, the things over there was not good. And we wasn't eating enough on time. And also the violence was terrible over there. The last thing that happened that provided me the strength to say, okay, let's move on. I had to live here. My uncle wife, she was killed in her house. She was with her two daughters. He came to the house and he killed her. He cut her neck. That was, I never saw that before. It was really hard, to deal with it because the violence was increasing. And I knew that if I stayed there, if me or somebody else in my house around me, surrounding me, would die. And I decided to leave with my daughter. It was really hard. Now I can cry. Seeing your little one crying because she's hungry or she's cold or she's tired. That you had to keep going on. You had to get where you had to get, She was my motivation during the process because I knew that if I get here, I would be able to give her the life that she would like. Instead of staying there would be more difficult. We can even die. So I knew that it was yes or yes, I had to get there. The most thing that I'm proud of is that I already finished high school and I know better how to express myself in English. So I feel proud of it. I feel that I'm doing something. And also that thanks to the help that this organization provided to me, I already got my documents. So those are stuff that I feel proud of it. And I feel that God is doing something, Yeah.
Yes, sis! Woo! That's my sister!
Thank you, Bruce. That's invigorating. And we will look forward to partnering and collecting the nickels for neighbors. So thank you very much. We're going to transition just to the minutes that we had of our last delegate session, which was pre-recorded and online. And I just want to highlight a few of the activities and then read the action item, and then I will be open for any questions or comments that you all have. And if you will notice, the way for you to raise your hand, if you'd like to make a comment, is down under the reaction button at the bottom of your screen. If you click on that, you will see a way for you to raise your hand. You can probably see it on mine right now. And that then allows Brooke to call on you if you have a question or a comment. But again, we met in the fall by a pre-recorded session. We did the normal things that we usually do. The one thing that I wanted to highlight was the Peace Mug presentation that was given by Ron Adams to Ron and Judy Zook. We also had a membership request, which we're going to be acting on this morning, but it's just very exciting to see that began, it germinated, and now today it will be coming full circle, we hope. There's a reminder of the year-to-date finance report that was done in the fall, congregational updates, including the leadership fund, and then the vote on the slate for leadership for our conference. The action that you took by delegate ballot was to overwhelmingly approve all 8 candidates for the leadership slate and to unanimously receive the spring 2020 delegate session minutes and the fall 2020 finance report. So at this point, I hope you reviewed your docket with those minutes, and I am open to any questions or corrections for that. And again, please raise your hand and Brooke will notice that, and then unmute your button if you have any questions or corrections that need to happen to the minutes? Hearing none and seeing no little hands, I will ask you to vote on the ballot that you will find on the website for today's meeting. And so I will ask you to vote your approval or disapproval of these minutes. Okay, at this point, we're going to have an update on the Leadership Fund. And Merv, we're ready for some good news.
Hey, thank you, Cindy. It's exciting that we have this fund to begin with. It's even more exciting the way it's growing. Just a quick reminder to each of you, the Congregational Leadership Fund is a dream and a vision, and its purpose is to strengthen leadership capacities in all our congregations by providing financial assistance for continuing ed of pastors and lay leaders, also assisting congregations with short-term leadership needs or resourcing faith formation initiatives that might be new that would help strengthen the leadership in the congregation. So it's something we do together. We partner together to do this. All gifts, whether large or small, are appreciated and needed. If you want to make an application for your congregation or for somebody in personal leader in your congregation, go to the Atlantic Coast Conference website, click under resources, and then click on documents and scroll down to the Congregational Leadership Forum. I think this is a wonderful way to ensure that all our congregations have access to continuing education opportunities. Some of our congregations have budgets and finances that they can easily access education, and some of our congregations don't. So we can share in this together. Currently, our goal for this fund is a $500,000 endowment so that we can release up to 5% of that a year, and we would have up to $25,000 to work with, which would be amazing each year to be able to extend. Currently, that fund is at $307,000, which is amazing, especially given the last year of the restrictions of COVID and trying to do safe distancing. But we are at $307,000 right now, which is very exciting. Applications are processed each December and June by executive committee. So please, as you think about this fund and the value of having opportunities for resources that help congregational leadership, please consider making a donation, whether it's small or large. This is something we do together. This is something we grow together, and it's for the best of everyone. So thanks for considering that and considering making a gift yourself. I want to turn the time over now to Rod Yoder, who is our Finance Committee Chairperson, and he will work on the reports with you.
Okay, thank you, Merv. Good morning, everybody. My name is Rod Yoder. I'm a member at East Chestnut Street Mennonite Church and began serving as chair of the Finance Committee in January of this year. So I want to take a few moments to review the year-to-date financial results and then the 2022 budget. Hopefully you've had a chance to review those documents. They are posted on the website. So we're going to start with the year-to-date results, then do the budget. And similar to what Cindy mentioned, we will need you to acknowledge and approve these in the link that will be provided. So let me start with what's on the screen now. This is our statement of financial position as of March 31st. And last year at this time, it was very unclear as to the impact of COVID on the individual congregations and on the conference. And because of that uncertainty, the conference applied for and did receive $27,400 in payroll protection program funds. And that came in the form of a loan that is expected to be 100% forgiven. And I mention that because it had a positive impact on our cash balances that you can see the first line on that report. So that's really the only thing I needed to highlight on that. There was minimal changes on the rest of those accounts. So if we could go to the statement of operations, And this reflects 9 months of results. I realize it's hard to put all of this in the screen in one shot. So again, hopefully you can access that on the website. But this reflects 9 months of results starting July 1 of 2020. And you may recall that last year, the delegates approved a preliminary budget. And it was preliminary because the uncertainty around COVID. And that approval gave the Finance Committee the authority to revise the budget if needed later in the year. And indeed, there were some revisions to that budget, and that's why the far right column reflects revised budget. So on behalf of the Finance Committee, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks for the support the congregations have continued through this challenging time. You can see we are very close to our income budget in both congregational contributions and in total income. And at the same time, total expenses are lower than budgeted, and this resulted in a $10,600 surplus compared to a budgeted deficit that we had expected of $13,600. So the biggest expense decreases, as you might expect, occurred within travel and delegate meeting expenses. So that's really what I wanted to highlight on there. Again, a big thanks for the continued support from everyone, from all the congregations. And at this point, let's move on to the budget. And to start that out, I would like to recognize Larry McJunkin, who served as the chair of the Finance Committee for the past 6 years. And Larry's parting gift to the committee and to me as the newbie on the committee was to do almost all the work in preparing this budget. So a big thanks to Larry for his past service. So this budget was prepared primarily based on the year-to-date results that we saw. And as such, it is showing lower income and expenses compared to some of the budgets in the pre-COVID years. And the budget is showing a $12,900 deficit, preliminary budget. And while we don't like to present deficit budgets for approval, we do feel it is fair and reasonable based on the current situation. Now, in April of last year, the conference did send a letter out to all the congregations asking for an update on expected contributions. And that was really driven by COVID, but it turned out to be a very helpful letter as far as preparing the budget for this year as well. So our really plan is to continue that on an annual basis to help us in our budgeting. So expect a letter to come out probably within the next 30 to 45 days again. With a similar request, and that's just going to be an ask for what your expected contributions are going to be for the next 12 months. So with that, that's the notes that I wanted to make sure to share with everybody, and I will pause if anyone wants to raise their hand with a question at this point. Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Rod, I think Keith Miller had raised his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Am I seeing that correctly? So Keith, do you want to follow through with asking Rod a question?
Yes, I just had a question on the expenses under leadership support. There's a line item that says trauma. I didn't catch but related to trauma. I was just curious what that line item refers to.
Yeah, and I might need to ask someone from the executive committee, Merv, or someone to speak to that. I'm not real familiar with that particular account.
I can quickly, we have a trauma resilience fund. We have a grant to assist pastors with resources to work at fatigue, trauma, resilience in hope of a good future. So we have this fund, and I think that's what reflects. Unfortunately, my internet's a little weak right now, and my screen's a little fuzzy, so I can't actually see that line. But I think that's what it refers to.
Thank you.
Thanks, Merv. I realize I didn't actually state the recommendation. Thanks for showing that at the bottom there on the screen there. This is the recommendation we're putting forward for your vote, and that is that the delegates will approve this preliminary budget as presented, but similar to last year, to give the Executive and Finance Committee the authority to adjust those income expenses as needed after the close of this fiscal year. And so the final budget would then be made available in August of 2021.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Merv, for the excellent report on the Leadership Fund, and to Rod for the excellent report of our budgets. And again, thank you for the way that you as churches have supported ACC. It's been a very different year, as you all know, but it's been delightful to be in partnership together and to continue the work that ACC has. So please remember that you need to have your ballot reflect your wishes when we come to the end here. And that includes on the budget, as Rod stated. So thank you for that. We're doing very well on time, and I know this is our first attempt at everything. I'd like to just ask any executive committee member to just raise their hand. The executive committee Rod talked about has put in countless hours and has done a wonderful job of navigating this time. And I would like to just recognize their involvement. So executive committee, I see John Carlson has his hand raised. I know that there are others that have signed on. Please make sure that you thank them for the many hours of work that they have given. And also staff, if you would raise your hand. Staff, again, either or, by a wave or by on your reaction key. Thank you. It's just really been good to work as a team and see that ACC continues to have stable staff and continues to work at with the churches and all the opportunities that happen. At this point, we're going to transition into one of the most exciting things, and that is welcoming a new congregation. And I just need to ask Brooke if this is the timing. He had made a change last minute. Brooke, is this the timing that is best for everyone involved with that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so we're going to invite the Grace and Peace Church to give an overview of their involvement with ACC and their request, and then executive committee's recommendation that we invite them in as a new member to ACC. So Ruth, it's all yours.
Okay, give me just 1 second. Good morning, friends. My name is Ruth Yoder Wenger, and I'm conference minister for New York City and pastor of North Bronx Mennonite Church. I'm delighted to introduce the leadership team of Grace and Peace Mennonite Church. You will meet 3 gifted women, each of them rooted from childhood in the fertile Anabaptist soil of Harlem and the South Bronx. They bring a remarkable depth of experience and commitment to their roles in the congregation and to ACC. You'll hear from Pastor Anita Pinnell Castle, Activities Coordinator Rhonda Mitchell, and Administrative Elder Naomi Yoder. Walking with them as the new church has emerged has been an enriching experience for me, especially since I first knew all of them as children years ago, now quite beautifully grown up. Anita, I believe you are speaking first.
Ruth, I'm not sure Anita is here right now.
Are Naomi and Rhonda here? I think they were expecting to be on about 15 minutes from now. So maybe we could just hold that for a minute. I don't see any of them on, and I think they thought their time was about 9:50.
Cindy, would you like to go to leadership solicitation?
Absolutely. We will make
Sorry
that.
about that.
That's okay. I did think that possibly we could go into the small group discussion time also, Brooke. But let's go with your call for the leadership solicitation. We are going to have a video that Lindell Thiessen has put together talking about the leadership positions that are needed for ACC.
Hi, I'm Lindell Thiessen. I'm the chair for the gift.
And so, and after that, there also will be a pre-recorded Brooklyn Peace Center update. So, Brooke, if you would run those two, we will move forward with those.
Hi, I'm Lindell Thiessen. I'm the chair for the Gift Discernment Committee. Every spring, my committee looks at leadership position terms that will be ending in the fall. Leadership terms are 2 years long, and most positions are eligible for up to 3 terms, which adds up to 6 years of service. Today we have 6 positions that we need to fill. And this morning we're inviting delegates to submit names to our committee through the online delegate ballot. I want to make it clear that just because a name is submitted or nominated, it does not automatically mean that we will be contacting that person, but rather we include it in a list of names that we look at for each position. So the open positions today are the assistant moderator, one of the member at large for the executive committee, the chair for the Peace and Justice Committee, the chair for the Ministerial Leadership Committee, and 2 members for the Gift Discernment Committee. You are welcome to suggest 1 or more names for any of the positions. The delegate ballot can be found on the ACC website where you found the link for registration, and the ballot is available until the end of the day today. You're also welcome to get in touch directly with me or any of the Gift Discernment Committee members if you have questions or want to talk further about any of the leadership positions or nominations. So the committee members are Bill Parson, Nancy Benignus, Marlon Hershey, Angela Dietzel, and Merv Stolzfus. Thank you so much for submitting names and helping us fill these important positions.
Thank you, Lindell, for that. Again, just to reiterate how important it is, please prayerfully consider who you want to nominate for those positions and make sure that they are sent through to our gift discernment committee. I did fail to highlight one item, and that is John Carlson. Can you still raise your hand? John has been nominated to be our assistant moderator for MCUSA. So we want to recognize that. And in a special way, thank you for the incredible time and energy and work you've given into ACC, and bless you, and pray for you, and just be very positive and cheer you on with your endeavors with MCUSA. So I think Stan Shantz led the search committee for that. And I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that and recognized you. So blessings to you, John. At this point, Brooke, are you ready to have us look at an update from the Brooklyn Peace Center?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Vanetta Starbakken, co-founder of Radical Living, our Garden to Table Youth program. Radical Living is an ACC affiliate ministry, and we received a Nichols for Neighbors grant a few years back.
And I'm Jason Storbakken, pastor of Manhattan Mennonite Fellowship. Along with my wife, a member of the founding board of the Brooklyn Peace Center. The Brooklyn Peace Center, or the BPC, is located at 23 Marcus Garvey Boulevard in Brooklyn, which is about a 12-minute walk or 8-minute bicycle ride from where we live.
The BPC currently partners with Radical Living, New York Mennonite Immigration Program, and Believers Mennonite Garifuna Ministries. There are also plans down the road to identify a team to develop a new Peace Church in the building.
We've done a lot of work to renovate the building, but there's still so much work to do before we're able to fully and officially launch. The Brooklyn Peace Center will serve as a community resource, providing space to learn about peace building and conflict transformation in New York City. Because we aim to be inclusive and welcoming to all people, our first priority is to make the building accessible for people with disabilities.
Thankfully, we are working with design advocates who have provided pro bono architects to render plans. The next step is to raise the funds to transform the building. The cost to make the building accessible for people with disabilities is $80,000.
We need your support, and we'd like to ask you to consider making an investment in peace in Brooklyn and beyond. If you're able to contribute, donations can be made directly to the Atlantic Coast Conference with a designation, Brooklyn Peace Center.
I want to ask you to hold this new work in prayer, and particularly pray for an upcoming light kickoff event on Juneteenth or June 19th. The Brooklyn Peace Center and its partners are providing an open house. We are also partnering with Blessings of Hope, located in Lancaster, to provide a distribution of food for 1,000 people.
Thank you for considering this request, and thank you for allowing us this space to share. Peace.
Thank you for that update. Exciting. I know our church had a meal, and all the money that was collected from the meal was sent to the Brooklyn Peace Center, and our young adults can't wait until they can cross state lines and go and help. So I encourage you to make sure that that gets on your calendar at your church to consider your involvement with them. At this point, I think we will try and return to the congregational sharing from Grace and Peace. Ruth, are we ready? Are we ready to go with that?
No, they're not on. Actually, their last information was that they would be on at about 9:55.
Okay.
I texted and emailed them, and they will be on as soon as they can. And I'll just let you know when I see them.
Okay. Okay. So, Brooke, we can break out into some small group discussion until then, and then hopefully return to that. So I don't know how many of you have ever done breakout groups via Zoom. I know some of you have done it a whole lot more than I have, but you have been assigned into a group. You will automatically be put into that group. Please unmute yourself and actively engage in conversation with your group. Brooke is going to lead us through that. So let's take the next little bit of time and experience a breakout group via Zoom. Welcome back.
Well,
That was invigorating. Thank you. We will have more opportunities.
Cindy.
From 11 o'clock on. So welcome back. Okay, I think we are ready to now introduce Grace and Peace Church to you. So Ruth Wenger, you want to start us off?
Yes, I apologize for those of you who heard this before, and I apologize to Anita and Rhonda and Naomi for the mix-up. I thought it might help us center a bit to just start again. Good morning, friends. My name is Ruth Yoder Wenger, and I'm Conference Minister for New York City and pastor of North Bronx Mennonite Church. I'm delighted to introduce the leadership team of Grace and Peace Mennonite Church. You will meet three gifted women, each of them rooted from childhood in the fertile Anabaptist soil of Harlem and the South Bronx. They bring a remarkable depth of experience and commitment to their roles in the congregation and to ACC. You'll hear from Pastor Anita Pinnell Castle, Activities Coordinator Rhonda Mitchell, and Administrative Elder Naomi Yoder. Walking with them as the new church has emerged has been an enriching experience for me, especially since I first knew all of them as children many years ago, now quite beautifully grown up. Anita, I believe you're speaking first. And again, we apologize for the mix-up.
Good morning, everyone. As she said, I'm Anita Pinnell Castle. I'm the pastor of Grace and Peace Mennonite Church. And our presentation today is structured around three Bible verses that reflect three aspects of congregational life that are important at Grace and Peace Mennonite Church.
Rhonda, unmute yourself.
Thank you. I'm Rhonda Mitchell, and at Grace and Peace Mennonite Church, one way we describe ourselves is that Jesus is the center of our faith. In 1 Corinthians 3:11, we are told, for no other foundation, for no one can For no one can lay any foundation other than the one we have already, Jesus Christ. We have a weekly Bible study, and we started with the Beatitudes. Now we're studying the entire book of Matthew.
Anita?
Okay. At Grace and Peace Mennonite Church, one way we describe ourselves is to say that community is the center of our lives. In Colossians 3:15, it says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body, you are called to be at peace and be thankful." During our Sunday service, we have time for sharing our joys and concerns of our day-to-day lives. We have a prayer team that prays for those requests weekly. And we also have a monthly fun night where we socialize around a chosen theme. We also consider ourselves a church family. So we share with each other our prayer requests, our joys and concerns during our weekly Bible study, as well as during our monthly fun night. We continue to be a part of each other's daily lives in ways that are meaningful, despite the fact that we are virtual.
My name is Naomi Yoder. I'm the third part of our three-part leadership team. At Grace and Peace Mennonite Church, we describe our way of operating as we make decisions by consensus, and we value connection and mutual accountability. Hebrews 10:23-25 says, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another." Despite the difficulties and the sadness of COVID, we're grateful that we discovered that meeting virtually is actually a gift for our congregation. When we initially described ourselves as an Anabaptist Mennonite congregation committed to accommodating the diversity of needs among us, we were meeting together in Rhonda's home twice a month. Part of the diversity of needs among us had to do with physical limitations and also all of the travel that can be involved in city life, church, community gatherings. But now, as we've described, we have a weekly Sunday service and Bible study, plus additional activities that give us opportunities to encourage each other, to spur each other on.
Thank you for inviting us to participate this morning. We hope you enjoyed seeing a snapshot of Grace and Peace Mennonite Church.
Thank you, team. Back to Cindy.
And it is just a snapshot. When you met with the executive committee, we were clamoring to recommend you because it was just such an invigorating time. So thank you so much for your involvement this morning and for your desire to join ACC.
Thank you.
I am reporting that the executive committee recommendation is that we approve having Grace and Peace join us as a congregation. They have met all the bylaw requirements for membership. We have looked at the application. Again, they met all of the requirements and expectations that we as ACC ask of a congregation. You can hear the spirit in which they present and who they are. And so with that, I am going to ask you with a show of physical hands, if you can welcome and support Grace and Peace Church into our conference. All delegates who are willing to, I would ask for a show of hands. That certainly is an overwhelming support from what my eyes see. Is anyone else seeing anything other than that? Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
We look forward to being together. Murph?
Yeah, thanks, Cindy. I invite all of you right now to quickly turn your mic on down at the bottom corner where the mic is. If there's a red slash through it, open it up. We're going to do a virtual welcome for Grace and Peace. So I want you to turn your mics on, and I'm going to invite you. We've been sitting for a while, most of you. There's at least one person driving that I'm aware of. That person can stay put, but I'm going to invite you to give a big round of applause together, or jump up and down if you want to do that. This is a great time to move, but let's do this all together to welcome Grace and Peace.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to New York.
Blessing.
Welcome.
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 Very happy to have you.
This is very welcoming.
I invite you to meet yourself again, and I'm going to share just a couple words of blessing with Grace and Peace. So Grace and Peace, and maybe share these, your representatives for your congregation, but share these with everybody else in your congregation. A warm welcome to you and your community as you join us here at Atlantic Coast Conference, the people of Atlantic Coast Conference. We look forward to learning more about your congregation and learning from you. We pray that you'll be blessed as you continue your journey of faithfulness. And may you be blessed by the sense of God near to you today and the days to come. May you find hope in your relationships with one another and a strong sense of belonging with us all. And may we all be enriched by your action of joining Atlantic Coast Conference today. May it be so. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Wow. Holy ground. Thank you. And also thank you for hanging with us with all our learning curve and glitches in being a Zoom of 92 people. So I appreciate that. We're going to transition now into introducing you to a new CRM, which is a conference-related ministry for ACC. You were introduced just a little bit through the Nichols for Neighbors opportunity that's going to be happening. But George Stoltzfus is our coordinator. And recently he sat down with the New York Mennonite Immigration Program as a new conference-related ministry. And he met with them virtually. And in February, the executive committee approved them as a new CRM. So we're going to take 10 minutes now and be introduced to them. We will then look at wrapping things up and having an intermission where you can grab a cup of coffee, go out and enjoy the sunshine for 5 to 10 minutes, get a little bit of breath of fresh air before we move into our session at 11 o'clock. So if we can run the video with George Stoltzfus.
Well, I'm George Stoltzfus, and I can see names attached to each of your pictures, so I know who's with us on the call. And I personally, on the part of Atlantic Coast Conference, want to invite you and welcome you into our midst as one of our church-related ministries. Please tell us briefly then about your ministry and the ministries that you offer through the New York Mennonite Immigration Program.
Well, New York Mennonite Immigration Program was founded in 1998 to provide forms-based relief to the members of the Mennonite Church, the immigrant members of the Mennonite Church. The congregations were seeing a need. So that was the inception of New York Mennonite Immigration Program. As time has gone on and needs have changed, we have also developed Pathways to Dignity, along with our ongoing forms-based relief program. We are accredited and we are recognized by the Department of Justice. And we work with the church and the community in the 5 boroughs to provide quality, low-cost immigration legal services and spiritual guidance, and also comprehensive services along with our community partners.
All right, thank you much. A second question I would like to address is, what are the stretching or exciting or maybe most terrifying things that you are involved in today? Who wants to take up that question?
I'll take that question. So this year we were able to partner with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs here in New York City. And we are now teaching ESL on Thursdays. This is for immigrants who English is not their first language. So on Thursdays, we have conversational English. And at the end of the course, 10 weeks, they receive a certificate from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. And we are under the program We Speak NYC. And anyone from different parts of the world, from the city, can log in and join the conversation. And I teach that part for the ESL class, as I am a former New York City public school teacher. So this is very exciting. And also the other part that we're doing this year was having a conversación en español class to learn Espanol, because some of our constituents do not speak Spanish. So this is a time for them to learn a little bit more Spanish. They can also interact with other members who are of Latin speaking background. So that has been exciting this year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Third question, how do you see the ministry of NYMIP fitting with the values of inclusivity, peacemaking, and justice that are part of the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Wonderful question. I would say that part of our ministry is to be in the community. And a model that we see throughout the Gospels with Jesus is him assessing the needs of the community and responding, not behind closed walls, but that justice is not just about our theological framework, how we think about peace, how we think about justice, but how we engage with where there is not justice. And so our mission and our focus of our program is around engagement. Is around thinking about who are in the margins and is not having opportunity to experience peace because of how there is a lack of justice that is around their story. There is a lack of resources around their story. And maybe no one is even listening. And so part of our work is to provide, as Maria shared, direct services, forms-based relief, which is the legal aspect, but also our Pathways to Dignity is about how do we look at tangible ways to speak not just about justice, but to work towards justice in the resources that are provided in the community. And that is the beginning of peacemaking. Peacemaking is being in a process with someone who does not feel peace because they feel they're isolated.
Yeah, well said. Thank you. One final question. Is this. We see in Atlantic Coast Conference, we see our church-related ministries as being an extension of the church. That is, being God's hands and feet in our communities. How can we, Atlantic Coast Conference, support you as staff members and in your ministry as a whole?
Well, we can definitely appreciate, we'll receive all your prayers. and any other form of donation, you can provide donation for us. That would be greatly appreciated. Prayers, most of all.
Yeah, our tagline is to pray, advocate, and donate. Those are the ways.
And maybe not necessarily in that order.
Yes.
Yes.
Continuing to support the work of New York Mennonite Immigration Program. We do a lot of pro bono work with our community members. We continue to work with New York City shelters. We assess immigrants placed in the shelters, and we also provide guidance to shelter staff in regards to how to meet the special needs of their immigrant clients. So New York Mennonite Immigration Program extends itself to really share and give God's love throughout the people that we work for. And we all bring our special gifts. Like Carmen said, she was a New York City school teacher. I'm a master social worker. So we are able to bring in our special gifts to the work that we do in New York Mennonite Immigration Program. So your continued support, prayers, donations are so greatly appreciated.
Great, and I am aware that the Nichols for Neighbors program has named you as our recipient for the coming year, and that's exciting to know as well. Do you, any of the three of you, have anything additional you would want to be sure to mention in this introductory time?
I would say we are the team, we are the staff, and our program has been a partner of MCC, Mennonite Central Committee East Coast, and seconds the staff to the program. And one of the goals of this program is for it to continue to develop and become more and more self-sustaining, as we are a community-based, organization serving the church and the community. And we are so grateful for all of the ways that Atlantic Coast Conference has worked with us over the years, with pastors who are on our board, church members from ACC congregations who are also a part of our board, been a part of our board, and even worked with us in our accreditation process. So we have been partnering with ACC for since we started, and thankful for that continued support and prayers and connection and giving. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you all so much for joining with us this morning. We are so grateful to have you as a formal part of Atlantic Coast Conference. I hope that serves well for you as it does for us as a conference. Blessings to you all.
Thank you, George, and thank you for the excellent work you are doing with our conference-related ministries and connecting with all of them, including now the new approved one, the New York Mennonite Immigration Program. So start collecting nickels for neighbors. That'll be a good way for us to introduce the CRM to our constituents. So we are at our closing time for now. This is the more formal time of our meeting. Our time at 11 o'clock will be less formal, and you will be in groups again. And I don't think you want to miss it. Ron Adams and Amy McLaughlin will be leading us. Some persons other than myself have had a lot more Zoom savvy. And I look forward to watching and learning how they lead us through an hour of learning. So the next half hour, I tried to get a coffee smell to put through the computer, because normally this is the time we all get up, go get a cup of coffee, and we chatter in the lobby to the point that we can't come back together. And we can't replicate that. They have not come up yet with the coffee smell that emits from the computer. So we're going to have to just go with going to our own coffee pots, getting a cup and enjoying knowing that we're going to be together again at 11 o'clock. I do want to remind you that this fall, we will hopefully rejoin in person at Blossom Hill Mennonite Church on October the 23rd. So please put that on your calendar and on your church calendar and plan to be there. Also, remember, you have the opportunity, this would be a good time to take care of that delegate form that you've been sent. You will notice that there was one agenda item that we overskipped, and that was we were not able to follow through with the congregational sharing as we had hoped. So if you were following our agenda, you will notice that that needed to be dropped this morning. So there's going to be pre-recorded music from Voices Together. Again, a resource that is available, and enjoy that. Enjoy your short walk or cup of coffee and come back to our relaxed 11 to 12 learning time. May you go in peace with this intermission. Please stay connected. That was the other thing I was asked to tell you. Do not disconnect if at all possible. Okay, have a good intermission.